Sorry.
Did the monkey sing something like that?
Yes,
Hey,
very
hey.
close to that. Hey,
Hey.
hey, with the monkeys. That's right. I'll see if I can dig that out.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
I
Well,
used to love
you
that show. I used to sit in front of that every afternoon. I hadn't discovered wine at that stage, so I think I probably had a glass of milk and a biscuit in front of me,
I
and
mean,
that
it's a
was
great
happening.
idea, wasn't it? It was a great idea, really, and what a lovely era that must have been, where it was really kind of like music was the number one show in town, so
Oh,
they could make it
absolutely.
make a show about a band, and with loads of cool songs in it and stuff.
Yep, it was pretty good. Then you had the goodies, and then you had there was another mob did a show, and I can't remember what it was. Anyway, g'day everyone. It's howdy doody to Udy time, and that is we're a little bit late actually. Sorry about that, but we are live on YouTube, and thankfully you could join us. We are very glad to have you as always. And I'm going to hand you straight over to Ash, who's going to talk about the footsie, and then I'll come back and have a look at the pound trade. G'day, mate.
Great stuff. Yeah, hi mate. And good morning to everybody out there as well. Let's have a look at the FTSE. If you could pass me the screen, I think
I've got to make
I'll
you a
tell
thing,
you what.
don't
Now, let me just. Oh, I can't do it that way.
This is very laborious. We must have to put in something in the suggestion box for Zoom to just pee that off.
Oops.
You
Yeah,
should
are
be
we
good to go,
there?
mate.
We're there. Okay, great. So we are probably looking at longs today. It's a little bit tricky. We took a trade yesterday and had to come out of it. It was in this area here, but I had to come out of that because it just didn't look like it was going to go up at the time, and as it happened, it did rise a little bit, but it would have taken our stops out. So actually, it proved to be the right choice. Going out of that one. And then there was probably another opportunity, maybe later in the day, maybe this one here. But I was just saying to Jeff, I was asleep. It was at 3 o'clock this morning. On that bar there, as that bar kind of gets above the daily pivot. Now, really, what I'm looking for is a retest down here, and if that is to happen, so really, let's write these in, because I'm looking for a long today. I think there's probably enough tension out there with Hong Kong to make this a difficult trade to really kind of get hyper confident about. So it's again probably going to have to be on a slightly reduced risk. But let me see. So it's probably what we're looking at. So it'd be and as I say, I am looking for the long, and it's probably going to be entry. Let me just write this a bit bigger.
Hi, guys. Hi, Swee. Hi, Helen. Hi, PL. Hi, Emmanuel. Helen's got a smile from ear to ear. Isn't that great?
Entry at 60.90, which is basically this pivot here is the entry. We'll put stops down at this level here, but if it starts to close below the daily pivot, I might well come out of it again. So it's going to be fairly tight. The whole thing will be fairly tight. So stop loss is going to be, what's that, 60.38. Now the market's just opened up. Let's see what we get. 60.38. Now I might be getting straight into this. So let's see what happens here. Not that well set up this morning. Right, let's just let the market settle down a little bit here. Looks all right to me. Right, I'm just going to watch out for this and see whether I have a trade here. So I'll be looking at the long. Just want to make sure I've got all my accounts open in time here. Yeah, there seems to be a bit of stimulus over from China, from Japan as well overnight. Right, this is coming. Right, this is the level I want to take here. So actually, so it looks like. Let me just double check this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe a shade lower would be good. Ah, I think we just missed it. Oh, maybe not. Hold on. Right, I'm gonna take this as soon as it comes down. I'm not gonna wait for a signal here, but I want that lower band there. It looks to me like it might just well be here. So actually, let's do 6100 as an entry here. I think I might have just missed it as I was trying to get my other. So entry. I think I missed it, mate. That's not good. 6100 is the entry. So if it comes down to this lower, ready to test that again, then I am going to take it. I think I might have just missed the opportunity there. And if that's the case, it's going to have to be so be it, because the issue over in Hong Kong is problematic. That's going to be it. That's going to annoy me, I think. Let's hope it comes back one more time. I've got a feeling it's not going to, but let's see. So entry at 6100, stop loss at 60.38, but to close under the pivot, and I won't worry too much about it. But I'll talk later. You know, if we can get the trade on, I'll talk about why 6100 is a good price point. But I got a feeling this is going to be missed. Couldn't get my other account open in time, mate. That was annoying.
Yes, that is annoying.
Okay, well, I'll probably have to holler. Let's put the pound trade on. I think we might have missed it.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's for anybody that really wants to take the trade, you can trade above that level. That's not a major issue, but that's the price down there. So 6100. If it comes down 20 pips in the next few minutes, then we can take a trade to the downside. But that may well be it. I wonder whether we've had our bounce and now we're going to go. Trading above that level puts your stop down under the daily pivot. I'm not going to take that. I quite like the upside. 45s. Yeah, it's a 1-to-1 really to the high, so you can't really take that. That was the opportunity there. Caught me on the hop a little bit there. Caught me on the hop there, mate. That's not very good. Not very good. I've been sat here for like probably an hour and a half, but
waiting for it.
Yeah, well, no, you know what? I wasn't waiting for it, and that's the problem. I was just analysing a Just Eat for Shukri for later, and because of that, I just took my eye off the timing, and then obviously we were chatting. My no big deal though, mate. No big deal. Missed opportunities happen all the time, and there'll be another one rolling up. So. That is the nature of the beast sometimes. I'm not diving in here, mate, but I think we might have missed it. I think we might have just missed that opportunity. Needed to get in a little bit before that. Oh, you never know. Maybe it comes back here. 1 second. I'll holler.
Righto.
I'll holler. If it comes back, mate, I will holler, but I think it might be gone.
Holler for a Marshall, mate. Holler for a Marshall.
I will holler for a Marshall if it comes back, yeah.
Rightio, let's take a look at the GBP USD and see if we can reproduce yesterday's. Nice result yesterday. Not quite 1%, but just shy of 1%. Let's hope for a repeat. I have both trades in the market, or both orders in the market, and they are these. We will sell pound US dollar at 1.2293 with a stop loss of 1.2348, and we will buy at 1.2348, and we'll have a stop loss at 1.2293. And there they are. Shocking place to enter. Short here really is bad. The longs not that much better, but you know that's the way it is. That's the system that we're using currently, and if we have to add filters later, we will. If that proves to be a very bad idea, then we can certainly take that into consideration when we go through all of the results of 3 months of trialing. And we'll do that together, guys. We'll do that on a daily basis, and we'll have a look and see what we could have done better if indeed it was an option to do something better. That's how far away are we? Let me have a quick look at that. We started this trial on the 6th of April. So we've had 6 weeks, about halfway through. And we are, as you can see, line balling it. 13 for 13. And yesterday's trade put us in front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 21. So we've only been in front 5 times out of 26. Not superb, I've got to say, but it'll be interesting to go and have a look at all these, in particular these big runs, and see if we could have improved any. And they look to have come in big runs, don't they? These continue. Well, sorry, I'm looking at the progress column, not the win-loss column. As Ash pointed out today, Wednesday is probably the best of the days for this particular strategy, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last week was a loss. The week before was a loss. 5 of 7. It's still not too bad. So we'll be hoping that's a repeat today. That is pound US dollar. Now I'll just very, very quickly give you this one as well. Dollar yen. Now I have placed an order, placed it late. In fact, I placed it after this candle form, but I'm trading this bar as it turns out. So I'm actually not in this trade at the moment, but I do have the order in place. And it is short below this bar. So the entry level that I've used, I'll put it up here. Where's that thing? There it is. So it will be US dollar, Japanese yen. What were you saying about, Ash, if you're not busy, if you are, don't bother answering, but what were you saying about the yen? They've done some QE, have they?
Yeah, just a bit more stimulus promised over in China, in Japan, sorry. So that lifted the Nikkei quite nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Should weaken the yen. I haven't looked at that chart actually, but
it's interesting. Doesn't kind of go with me. But let's take a look. It is a sell at 106.85. Stop loss. I'm going to be conservative here and go above the high, and that will be 107 points. Let's go with 107.15. And the TP1, let me just have a look at that. TP1.
When you've done that, mate, there might be one more chance with the FTSE.
Okay. Let's go with 107.11. 107.11 for TP1. Right, mate. You can take it if you want.
Okay, let's share screen again here.
Can you do that without me or not?
Let's see. No.
Okay. Rightio. Oakley dokley. That doesn't look right.
That's okay. So I've got it now, I think. There we go.
Mine doesn't. Right. Oh, okay.
Right, right. There might be one more chance. I mean, wouldn't want to trade the break, but the pullback might just give us an opportunity. So now the entry is going to be at 61.20, and we will put the stop loss just under that point there. So I'm going to have to take it first, potentially, and then I'll write up the numbers. But it's going to be at 61.20 with stop loss under the pivot. I'm just going to double check that. Oh, that's good. If I don't get that, I'm going to be pretty frustrated, I have to say. That was annoying, just missing that one. 6100, but might have to take this next one. So 20 pips, 20 pips to the bad, really. So, but a close up here without testing these highs is okay. If it tests the highs first, if it just flies up here, then a test down here is not going to look so attractive. But without getting to that point there's still an opportunity to take the trade long. So I'm just waiting to see whether that comes back. I thought that might start to slide down just before we finish here, but it might be better that it doesn't in some respects, because let's just check the 5 here. Yeah, if that can kind of like close up, looking like a bar like that, then what we might then get is just a bar that brings us down a little bit. So we're trading these on short-term timeframes now, because the that's what's on offer. If that can come down there after this bar here, after that bar there, if that can come down, so that could do with closing here. It's not going to look so good if this bar looks like this bar. If this bar looks like this, that's not going to look quite as attractive. But we can make a judgment call after that. But a bar like that would look pretty good. This would represent a retest, and then we can just take the trade to the upside, probably without a signal bar. So I'm just going to wait and see whether we get this level here, which is 61.20. So entry is going to be 61.20 with a stop loss just under the stop at around about 61.90. Let's put it stop loss at 61.90. Let's get rid of these for now. Let's see what that looks like. So we got just let this 5-minute bar close, and then we're looking for the next bar for an entry here. And that looks pretty good. And as I say, we'll talk about why I think is going to go up today in a little while. But the first thing is, now we've got to be a little bit careful. There's no two ways about that, because there is tension over in Hong Kong. So we're going to have to listen to the developments of what the US is likely to do in the situation.
I haven't heard it.
Well, but because there are already protests kind of like back on the streets over in Hong Kong, and the US is now just weighing up some sanctions on some of the companies over in China, on some Chinese. What's that, mate? Again, yes, yeah. So there is tension out there. Don't go that way. Yeah, now this is going to be missed now, because I can't now trade that, because it may well. That is obvious resistance there. Now, the problem with this is that it starts to, if it gets up there first, it starts to have a bit of a double top kind of look about it. Which is going to be no good, actually. I suspect the market might well take off today and really start to get through these levels. Now, we talked about the fact that the last week of the month tends to be pretty bullish, and And it looks like that is now starting to take control, and there's going to be a bit of a grip. We may well miss out on quite a huge chunk here. But what, it's difficult to that one was just having to make a decision in a short period, and I didn't do that fast enough, which I'm frustrated about. This one is now going to be tricky. The test of that is a bit problematic. Let's just check this on the 4-hour. There's that one up there, actually. Let's just have a look at this trend line here. I suppose as long as we don't get that in this run, we might be okay. The issue here is that if it comes up here and comes back and retests, it might well start looking like a turnaround rather than a retest. The good thing about getting in down here is that as it runs up there, then we can just, we could have already had to stop at break even at this point and see if it goes through. Now, that hasn't tested that level, so we might still be all right. Let's just check. Now, that looks like a pretty good bar, doesn't it? That's looking better. So we can see there's weakness up there. Traders have hopped in quite early. Now, that's the reason we can't really trade it unless we get a retest before it gets to that upper line, because you can see that, on that 5-minute chart, there is weakness in this area. So there's likely to be weakness in this area. And at least if we can get in at a low price, then we can get stops at break even and see if we've got enough room for it to either get up or take us out at free. No, that's still got another couple of minutes to go. Now, coming down here is still okay. I'm still keen on this. So if this comes down here, remember this is just a 5-minute chart, so doesn't have a great deal of validity. Not too worried about a 5-minute chart. What I want is this to
Mate,
come.
I'm just going to give you the correct entry for the dollar yen. I gave you the wrong entry because this.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Chart was telling me the wrong number. The correct entry is 107.43, guys. 107.43 with a stop loss at 108.15. Sorry, mate.
It's US dollar JPY 107. What was it?
43.
43. There you go. And a stop loss
is 108.15.
108.15. There you go, guys. Right, we'll keep our eye on this just to see if we can get our price here. Still looking for 61.20 on this one. We're currently at 61.38 on my chart. You're I know some people are trading on IFS, and I think the oh gosh, that's better. Come on down here a little bit. Gosh, this is going to be tricky, mate. Look at how this is really it's quite vicious at the minute.
It is.
Goodness me. Let me just double check. I'm going to check around the grounds here real quick. Let's just have a look at the there's the S&P. Okay, there's the S&P there. Now let me just double check something. Let's see what we got. Ooh. Well, do you know what? This is the thing with this now. After seeing that, now this is a really good lesson in watching price action. Everybody saw the order go in there, bang. Now that wasn't gentle, which is already telling us that there is high volatility in this market. Now, I don't particularly like trading when there's higher volatility. I prefer to get something a bit more gentle and then see if the volatility will start going in my direction. That is making my decision a lot more difficult. And what that means is one of two things. Either this market is going to be difficult to break through, or that it flies. Now, I know that sounds like every day in the market, but it's not, because a lot of the time the market is just gentle and it just drifts. And when I say difficult to break through, I wonder whether we're going to get some quite emotive bars today now. And that wasn't too. Do you know? I'm not going to trade this, mate. And the reason I'm not going to trade it is because if we got this down here, we would already be safe. Now, after seeing that happen in the price action, there was a massive order that just went through there. And this is price action in its purest form. You know, what we just saw there was not looking at a formed bar, but a bar forming. So we can actually see the orders go through. And I really like that stuff. You know, I like seeing those. You know, when I see things like that and a big kick down, then that tells us something. So whether that ends up being good fortune or just a bit off-putting, I don't know. But what that is suggesting to me is that there may well be some higher volatility in this area. And this may not be a very safe area to take a trade. Let's just see what we got. There's only 40 pips there. It still could probably get to that upper level. And the market still looks bullish to me. Maybe I'm underplaying the tension in Hong Kong. Maybe you see, the thing is they're weighing up sanctions. But we've heard. Oh, you know, I'm definitely not taking this trade. I've completely changed my mind on this. That one, okay. Here, no way, no way. That current bar. No, that was the bar, wasn't it? That just gave us that kickback. Now that's, you know, this could still move to the upside, but at this particular point, I don't care. This could go where it wants now. I think that's enough information to say there is a red flag of danger. And it's our job really as analysts to to make sure that we change with the changing picture. And it's not the bar itself. That bar itself did not tell us everything. It was the movement that was involved in just that little few seconds that suggest to me that this is not going to be an easy ride. So I'm on the sidelines right now, mate. But I'll tell you what I will do after seeing that as a little hint. What I'm now going to do is see if we get under that that daily pivot. Is there now actually a short in the market? You know, we've just hit a potential level up here of possible resistance, and maybe we can time that line up now. Possible resistance here at this kind of triple top area. And we've still got the daily chart to kind of contend with up here as well. We did see yesterday's bar a little bit weak, but it looked like we could be getting through that today. We're still in an uptrend, so the bar itself wouldn't bother me. But what that is suggesting is that there may well still be a potential for some downside. Now obviously that does mean that if the upside starts to kick, it kicks pretty hard. But I think this needs to unfold a bit more. So let's sit back a little while and see if we can get any more information through. But I would not now be adverse at all to looking to see whether this goes under that point and trading this to the downside. Now that might change as the day goes on. I don't know, but right now I'm out. I'm not trading this, mate.
Right, mate. Happy days. There appears to be some confusion. Okay, and now I get it. Right. Now I've got it. It's all coming back to me. Remember, we had a dollar yen chart up last night, and we were talking about an entry. Mr. Miyagi, where are you? We were talking about, and you wrote some levels up on the screen.
Just now?
And no. Last night in the US session.
Yeah.
And obviously the guys have actually taken those as entries. And they'd be a little bit out of the money at the moment, not by much, but by a little, so that you would have been triggered on this bar.
You're not showing us your screen there, mate.
Sorry. Because I was asleep, I didn't take that trade. So therefore, that's why I now have a different order in the market. I think you guys, according to according to Sanjay, we were selling at 107.37, which is probably below that bar there. I think, yeah, it's all coming back to me now. Couldn't work it out because I actually don't have a dollar yen chart on the on the um, on the broker that I use in the US session. And I was just scratching my head there for a minute, but now I remember. It's all coming back to me now. So obviously you don't want to load up on this again, you guys. If you are in that position, you must have stayed up late if you took that trade, because that was like way early this morning, my time. Anyways, advice on that is, and it's very, very difficult to do this in retrospect because you're already in the trade, but when the end of day comes, so does the end of the position. If it hasn't been triggered, you can reset it the next day. That's no problem. No, well, if it's a 4-hour trade, we do. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. But if it hasn't triggered before you go to sleep, then cancel the order and you can replace it the next morning. And here's the issue. When the market goes to sleep and wakes up again in about a period of 3 or 4 minutes, the spreads go out big time. So if you're hovering around an entry level just when the changeover happens between, well, let's say end of US session and beginning of New Zealand, when New Zealand comes alive, there's a big spread. The spreads go out to billio, and you can get taken into a trade on massive spreads, and I hate that. So unless you're already in the trade, then when you go to sleep, then I think it's best to cancel the order. Daily, weekly, different story. If you're in a weekly, then obviously you're not going to close at the end of the day, but daily you probably are going to close at the end of the day and replace it the next morning if you got the same circumstances. So I hope that helps. That's kind of my rule. Everyone's different, of course. Daily resistance. Ash, that's about Ash. Dollar yen, yep, got that. Sudden downturn looks like a strong resistance to the FTSE. Just realised we entered at daily pivot on pound, maybe. I haven't even looked at the pound. I think that has triggered, hasn't it? Yep, that's what I said. Absolutely shocking place to enter. Absolutely dreadful. But that's not what we're trading. We've got no filters on this. It's all about the breakout, nothing else. As I said, when we review these trades come 6 weeks from now, we will certainly be having a look at that. And if it proves to be fatal, then maybe it's a good idea to add that filter in. What else have we got? TP levels will be on dollar yen. Okay, I'll give you that in a tick. Weakness means blah, 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 blah. Pound is losing steam against the dollar. That signal weak. Okay, you've sorted that out. 36 Chinese companies on blacklist from being listed from trading. Okay. That won't affect me too much.
Yeah, that's the interesting story. And it's always and this is the issue really. The FTSE is actually rallying a little bit now, back up to the highs. This is the issue really, is that you get a story like that, and it's really a timing thing. It becomes a timing thing because until we actually get some solid a solid decision on that, there's almost every reason to see the market rally. But with that kind of cloud kind of hanging over it, then it could change at any moment, and it does make decision making a lot more difficult. I think it would have been a lot easier if we got in at the low, but taking that second one, it just becomes a bit more dangerous. But the market is just managing to ease back up again, and it may still go. I mean, we've seen you see the tick down that we got there. That suggests that there are some sellers there. So if those sellers can get pushed out the way, the market could explode up. But I think this is a dangerous area myself, and I think I'll sit back. And it might be that I miss a really good opportunity for the whole week, but I think as soon as it starts into the next month, then we can really start to think about some potential, real downside and maybe a slightly better price.
Roger D. We've got 30-minute candles that I can now trade. Let's take a look around the grounds and see what we can find. Euro US dollar. I had a look at this morning, and on the back of this big bearish engulfing bar and a re-entry into both the triangle. Don't know if the triangle's still there. Probably get rid of it now. But the rectangle's certainly still there, and a lower high. Now, I spoke about this morning with my group, and I said to them, yes, I can see it. And ordinarily it's a candle that I like to trade, but I really like to see something like that before it rather than something like that and that. So really you could have traded that bar, you could have traded that bar, or you could have traded that bar, but this is the best of them because it was preceded by a bullish decisive candle. Very important to me, because this is telling me that there are still buyers around the place. Once we've tested a level and come off it, and the buyers come back in, I get suspicious, because if they're not there, then this should fall on that candle, and it should have fallen on that candle as well. But they're still hanging around, and that's got me a little bit concerned. So that's why I'm not in this position short. I did trade euro yen short this morning, and I think it's positive at the moment. So that was a better option for me than was euro US dollar. But I could be absolutely convinced into trading this if we now got a bounce off the daily pivot, and we saw something like that. That's really what I want to see. That's the best you can do over here as a lower high. In terms of confluence with trade lines, well, let's go back and have a look at the 30-minute charts. Nothing really outstanding. There's definitely a resistance trade line coming through here. It's a little bit steep, but it's also obvious. If it were to break and we got a little bit of consolidation there, back underneath and retest, take out these lows, retest the confluence area, then yes, I'll be a short candidate. Dollar yen just hanging around there. Haven't been entered into that yet. But really nothing more to do. If you're not into the 4-hour position, then the 30-minute shouldn't really excite you either. In essence, we've got a whole mess there. Let me just go a little bit wider on that. Yeah, there's the hint, just the hint. I'll go to the hourly. Yeah, okay. There's the hint of an inner range here, in a rectangle. And if that's the case, we've bounced off it for the third time. And technically, we're looking for a higher low here to go long. I don't see it, though. It's not clear. And until it were, then I'll be staying out of this. It does change my my confidence level a little, though, seeing that inner range. Why haven't I seen that on the 4-hour chart? It's a bit further away, that's why. Okay. I get it. But yeah, an obvious lower high here on this time frame is where we want to be anyway. So we're looking for a sell. We're not looking for a buy. On dollar yen, the Aussie, man, 66.75. I said, didn't I? It's actually 66.61 on this chart, but 66.75 was my level, and I've got a funny feeling that hit it to the pip. 66.75.1. Wow. And I missed the last, well, probably the last third of that trade. Anyway, you don't cry over spilt milk. We got out of it for a reason, and we didn't get back into it, not because we didn't want to, but because we didn't have an opportunity, really. We didn't get a monthly pivot test, and the bounces off the bottom were just far too quick. Bang, bang. There was no opportunity to even catch a higher low there. What now? Now that we've reached that level? Well, I said back here somewhere, when it reaches that level, I'll be looking for shorts. So nothing's changed my opinion, I suppose, except that the dollar just continues to weaken. And I haven't had a look at the dollar index today. It should be glowing red at this point. It's not. Goodness gracious, what's wrong with these people? We've got... we've still got the tiniest little bit of green showing on the monthly dollar index chart, but gee whiz, it's only a whisper. And I definitely can't see that being a substantial, I think that was the word I used, rally in the dollar, which all the seasonal indicators were having us believe. Let me just update this chart just to make myself feel a little bit better. Okay, I'm looking at the dollar yen chart. I know you guys can't see it. Yeah, it's just got the tiniest tinge of green about it, but it is a high test bar. We will see how that pans out. That's the problem I've got here, is I'm just so weak on the US dollar. It's very, very difficult to trade short against it. So, and it's also very, very difficult to trade short against that bar. I'd want to see, that's the daily chart, of course. I'd really want to see something that reeks of reversal. Okay. Hourly chart's given me a big bearish engulfing bar, and we've got a lower high sitting there. Is that the lower high that I want to see? No. I want to see it hit a support level. In this case, it's probably going to be the daily pivot, could be that high there, but they're very close together. So I really want to see it hit a support level, then come back, then give me a lower high. Then I can look to trade it short. But I need two things. I need the reversal and I need the confirmation. That is a hairy one. It's really a hairy one. There's really been no genuine retracement here and then a rally off that retracement. So that's why I'd be hesitating to trade that bar. And of course, the untested daily pivot's not too far away either. So it's a no for me on Aussie US dollar at the moment, but definitely keeping an eye on it. Bounce here, lower high, short. Pound, not surprisingly, as we all know, the untested daily pivot is a powerful beast, and it will hold the market up. It will bounce the market. It will do all sorts of terrible things. If you haven't got a good relationship with it and know what it's capable of, it can be very, very dangerous. This is not unusual, and we could be seeing this for a little bit, and we could see a bounce here. The hope, of course, is that this bearish engulfing bar, and again, same as Aussie dollar, it really hasn't had a chance to put in a lower high. Technically, that is a lower high, but for me, it's not a substantial lower high. I want to see the bounce, then the lower high, then I can think about going short. But yeah, we're in it, so we've got to grin and bear it. Hopefully it'll just plow through there at some stage and give us a good look. Wow, what a bar this was yesterday on dollar CAD. You can't argue with that. That's real substance. It's even bigger than the Aussie was long. So this one's far more palatable for me. If I can get a retest of maybe the bottom of the range that's now been broken. Well, it hasn't been broken. It's been absolutely smashed. And this is a very strong bearish signal for mine. Big gap underneath it, big gap. I'm really keen to get in on this one. Dollar CAD short. I'd love to see a retest or a test of that daily pivot today, or the bottom of the range that we've just broken. I've got this funny feeling we're not going to, though. This is so strong a move. I think that they'll just keep jumping on this and it'll just disappear. But impossible for me to catch it. I'm not going to try and do that. I will wait for the retracement. If it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, then I'll just watch it go. Wow, it's going to go a long way. It really is, if it goes. There's a few historic levels here that we can look at to pull it up, I suppose. There's one we're at right now, which is why it's hesitating, I guess. The next one is 100 pips away. After that, I think it's a bit noisy through here. I think you're looking at probably, yeah, 500 odd pips not out of the question here, nor is 700. And I think after that we'd be in for retracement. I think I'd like to be getting out around about that point if I can get in. But very, very keen to trade this short dollar CAD. And if we get the opportunity, yep, I'm in like Flynn. Now, double crosses of the monthly pivots. We have two now, that one, and we've got one under construction here. This is dollar Swissy on the daily chart. Would I be willing to trade that? No. It's not the first double cross of the monthly pivot to start with, and that's what I look for. Secondly, I'd be trading straight into the first of those, which hasn't. If had you placed an order on that double cross, you'd still be waiting for an entry. So that kind of makes it a bit more interesting, actually. But I don't think I'll go back. I'm going to watch what price does up here on a smaller time frame. It's up around the weekly pivot and daily pivot again. Maybe we can have a look at this. Let me see. Okay, that's all right. So even if it got up to the weekly pivot and then found its way back under here, it's going to be tough trading into the daily pivot, but it's already been broken. So back underneath the monthly, retest the confluence area here. Yeah, I could look at that. Dollar Swissy opportunity short. On the smaller time frames, probably not going to happen anytime soon, but you never know. We only need two candles on the hourly chart, and that, of course, now is the same on the 30-minute chart. So this one closes in 18 minutes, and then we get another one. Then price disappears under, retests it. Yeah, why not? That's a short for me. Kiwi US dollar, like the Aussie and everything against the dollar yesterday, it had a very big day. And of course, now on the weekly chart, took out our weekly trade from a month ago, nearly a month ago, which was a small loser because we only got TP1 out of that, nothing more. What happens next? Yeah, probably looking at the top of the range here, I would have thought. And that could take some time if I'm looking at price and time, but it could go up here, it could go here, could go here, could go here, and then get there. So this is very, very tough for me at this moment to trade, and I'll give that a big miss, I think. So that's the majors covered pretty much. 2, 4, 6, 7. Yep, they're all done. And we do have an order in the markets. It is dollar yen short, hasn't triggered yet. Apart from those of you who actually took the trade in the US session yesterday. US dollar index, perfect doji at the moment. Interesting. Ash, I don't think I'll be looking to trade anything in the next half hour or so, but if we were to get a daily pivot test off the Aussie and then a lower high, I'd be happy. If we were to get a false break of this trade line, get back underneath there and test the daily pivot on euro dollar on the 30-minute chart, I'd be happy. And I think that's about where we are for now. The rest are pretty much on hold. Not interested in the Kiwi dollar CAD. I'm extremely interested in, very, very interested in that. So very keen to get price back up to here, and then we can look for an entry. But yeah, that's about it for now.
Okay, mate. Well, let's talk about the FTSE and see if we can, at least kind of make a plan for what we might need to look at in the future. I can actually take away quite a lot of it. No, let's not do that.
Okay. Hey, Big O. Yes, dollar CAD would be awesome, wouldn't it, mate? I'm waiting for it. Unlikely, I've got to think. I think that they're too much full of it at the moment.
All right, let me grab the screen back, mate, and we'll do some analysis on this FTSE. It is definitely a bit tricky here. Now let's just put the correct lines in. The little bit of weakness here it still looks primed for upside, and you know we're getting fairly close to the end of the hour. Look at this bar. I mean, this bar is certainly suggesting that that there is there's some pretty heavy buying going on. Can it get through there? Maybe. That the big issue was not getting this first trade down here, because we get that first trade, we're completely safe. Now it just becomes a bit more difficult. It just becomes a bit more dangerous. Yeah, you know, even taking that one would have been a little bit tricky, because you know there's still a chance it could fly around here, take this one out, and still go up. But down at this area, stops being at break even. If it breaks through that level, then there's every kind of chance that gives a genuine signal for downside. This doesn't give us a genuine signal for downside. It just could just be, you know, pip us out and not give us an opportunity. So probably aren't able to put stops at break even there. We are there. Now, there is a little bit of weakness here. The Hong Kong story is obviously playing and weighing on the market's mind. And I wonder whether we are actually looking for a US session before we get some genuine information on which direction we should be. Well, we know we're looking for upside, but which is it likely for us to kind of like continue through this? And it could happen, and this is where it becomes a real challenge, and this is why price is so important. You know, the right price to get in at is so important, particularly in an area like this, because we are basically trading a breakout, but just before the breakout. Because we are trading right into some fairly significant resistance here, but we are in a pretty strong trend to the upside. Now, if that Hong Kong situation wasn't in the way, the market would very likely be higher in flying. But with that situation in play, now I wonder whether we've got this. Let's just have a look. Yeah, you see, that's the. There might even be a little bit more upside within this move, which is actually, it looks fairly substantial there before we're looking for downside. That's the real line. So let's leave that line in place instead and start to come down here on the shorter term. On the shorter term, yes, there's something here, which it looks like we could still be on top of. But that's the target, isn't it? 62.08 on these here. And yeah, the market looks okay, actually. Let's just have a look at the S&P and see what that's telling us. S&P still continues to grind higher as well. So while the S&P is grinding higher, we don't really have too many red flags. Now, the China Stocks 50 is an interesting one, and I suppose if we are looking for the short, then we're probably better off looking at this and the Hang Seng rather than the US and the UK equities. That is the Nasdaq, which looks like a bit of a head and shoulders pattern forming. If we were sort of looking at that there, looks like that there is our kind of like left shoulder. There's our head, and I wonder whether we get some sort of right shoulder over here. So that would give us a neckline along here somewhere. So that may give us an opportunity for downside if that isn't able to get through that level. But the others really need to be saying the same thing. So that one could be giving us a hint. Let's have a look at the Dow. Yeah, Dow continues to grind higher as well. So it's certainly not looking like we are coming down. It's just the issue of the late trade. That's the problem. And as I said yesterday, the one thing that I've learned about my successes and I guess failures in trading is that one mistake compounds, and I think that missing that first trade, I'm gonna mark that down as a mistake, because as fast as it happened. And even though I wasn't quite prepared for putting the trigger on on every broker, I was prepared for the price down there, and I just didn't have everything open. I just had my eye off the ball for a second, but the plan was there. So now missing that one, then it does change the parameters for me. So it does mean that my decision making might well work against me. Not the way the chart looks and not the analysis, but the actual decision making might well work against me. So because of that, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to get into this market now. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't opportunities, because there are. But you know, in some respects, you have to recognise that there is a mental aspect to trading which can save you and make you a lot of money. And the analysis tells me this market is going higher at this particular stage. If it breaks down the daily pivot, then I will flip positions and look for lower. But the missed opportunity also tells me that I now have to recalibrate, leave the charts effectively, and come back and have a look at it almost with fresh eyes and in a fresh phase. So this first phase is definitely gone. I think we missed the opportunity on the first phase, which was down there on the very, very low down there. That was the first phase. It didn't quite come down to the daily pivot, but there was enough evidence that would hold along there. You see that gap again, gap and go to the upside. So at this point, mate, I don't think I can do a lot. So the plan really, that's what we wanted to talk about. The plan really here is certainly for me to step away for a little while, come back, maybe even in the US session, and see where price is, and then see, you know, where the opportunity might now carve itself out. We're about to close this first hour, and that first hourly bar is incredibly positive, but it's trading into resistance. But we can see that there's one more resistance level up here that would be our target. Now that's still 50 pips away, and it's good to know what that is, because it does mean that if we get a stop loss, which is at least a 2-to-1, then the trade is still worthy for some upside. So now having that in the bank, that would actually give us a 3-to-1 if we can get the you know, if price does come back down here and it looks okay to trade it. So that's probably going to be the plan. I would say I'm going to look again down here, see what price looks like. The market looks like it's calmed down a little bit, so there'll be no taking or getting in on spikes. This now will be, let's have a look at this area, and if it comes down to this area and gives us a turnaround, then I will take a trade to the upside. If it comes down to this area and starts to go in a sideways consolidation, then I'll wait until I either get something which suggests that we're turning around down here, or we start to look at closing under the pivot and look for downside. This gap is still there. There's a 15 pip gap, which isn't huge, but it is still there. So that might be also a bit of a red flag for upside. But the upside's on, mate. There's no doubt about the fact that the upside is on. So I just need to recount. I really do need to, like, get my head back and have a look at the next phase. I think that this is one of the things with this, is that because the phase has already started, and you know, that this is the phase, if you like, if we kind of like think about what's been going on here. If I consider what a phase is in the market, then I would consider this point here as a phase, coming back here as a phase. Now we tried to take a trade in this point here, you know, to see if it would start moving to the upside. Now it didn't, it came down again, but this is really the start of the next phase, and it comes up. But there is another one here, and the reason that, even though these are all green, the reason this is a start of a new phase is because it's the 8 o'clock bar. So that's why it's quite important to kind of get this point down here. And because this phase is now running, what I now need to see is what happens next, and if I can get it so, you know, let's say that this is our phase going on here. If there is something that comes down again, then we might get a new phase here, and then we can move up from that point. But I can't take it while this is kind of already running. It's just a bit too late. Now, the alternative to that is that it comes down, and then we get something of a new phase starting here, and then we can start taking that. It is kind of like, you know, back to the ABC, if you like. But if we take the trade, you know, on this bar now, then we are basically trading C, and I don't want to do that. I want to trade B, which is here. So that is what the plan is, mate. Get the head back and let the markets come through and give me a new phase and a new opportunity, which it will, and then look to see if there's a trade opportunity there instead of jumping on board with something which has already been missed.
Right, mate. I've got a few questions. I'll tackle those. And first up, we will go and look at Aussie Swissy from yesterday. And this kind of goes to the same question.
Shukri, just quickly for Shukri as well. Shukri,
Yep.
I'm going to look at Just Eat in. I've done some analysis on that for us as well. So I'm going to look at Just Eat in the US session, and we will analyze we'll have a look at the balance sheet. I had a look at their balance sheet, so we'll talk about that a little bit more. Still quite like the potential opportunity for some downside in Just Eat. Yeah, okay, mate, that's cool. So we'll do that and see what we can ascertain. But I quite like it. I still think that there's a chance for some downside, but we'll look at let's look through the balance sheet together. EasyJet, yeah, EasyJet is flying again today, for want of a better term, and got to be happy about that.
Well done, mate.
So far, so good. So far, so good. Can't get too excited until it's actually paid the first dividend. But when that happens,
it was the pun. It was the pun I was wanting.
Oh, you like the pun?
Yeah, I like the pun.
Yeah.
Pun was good.
Okay, mate. Well, yeah. You get to the questions, but we'll have a look at those in the US session later.
Okay, Aussie Swissy from yesterday. Okay, we placed an order short here. I can't remember who asked the question now. Emmanuel. Mate, here's the thing. Once I've had 6 bars, and this is a rule of mine, once I've had 6 bars on a small time frame, so 30-minute chart, hourly chart, and oftentimes, well, mostly 4-hour chart because it's going to be the end of the day anyway, we cancel the order. So we placed the order on this bar short, right under here, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Time to go. Get out there. But it doesn't matter where it is. If we haven't triggered, it can be like 1 pip from entry. You just get out, close it. Reason? Because something's changed. What we were looking for was pretty much instant entry. And when we don't get that instant entry, then something else is happening. So our analysis may well be altered by whatever has happened. And in this case, and look, to be fair, we say this all the time. This is a cause and effect trade. So what we're doing is preempting a potential false break of that level. And the reason we trade underneath that bar and not at the top of that bar is because it's a bloody big bullish bar. That is a breakup. It's a breakout, right? We don't know if it's false or if it's real at that point. And you'll find that there'll be a lot of orders placed long at that point because it's very, very near to the high of the bar. What I'm saying is if there's skullduggery at hand or otherwise, the people who are buying here are going to be wrong here because pretty much that's where they're going to have their stops. And if price comes back to here, we're going to pick up a lot of orders that are sell orders, and we're going to go through here. And that's the whole premise of the trade, right? So we're looking for liquidity here in this area. And if it doesn't go there, then happy days. We don't care. It just keeps going in that direction. But when it does, after 6 bars, it's pretty evident that we're not going to come back here in a hurry. So for that reason, we cancel the order. And that's the same with just about every order that we have. And the other one was Aussie CAD. Daily chart, you guys have seen a high test bar on the daily chart. Okay, my question would be this, or my observation would be this. What are you looking to do? Are you looking to trade that, or are you just looking at that as a potential reversal signal because we're rallying, and we're rallying fairly strongly. This is a fairly decent trend that's underway now on Aussie CAD. So we're looking at that as a tradable bar, and if so, I'd be questioning why. Yes, it's a high test bar, but what other context have we got around that at the moment that says that we're reversing here? I don't see any. We've had a little bit of a pause in the range. That's about it. Sorry, in the rally. That's about it. But it's a potential. Yeah, absolutely, Sanjay. It's coming back into the box. I agree. But you've got to have a little bit more than that. And we do have a little bit more than that, but it's not on the daily chart. It's on the hourly chart. And this happened at 4 o'clock this morning. And here's what we're looking for if we're looking to trade reversals. As I said to you the other day, we're doing that every single day. That's what we do. We trade reversals. We trade a reversal of that. We trade a reversal of this. And what we see when it does reverse is generally a signal that it's going to do that. In this case, you've got a double top sitting here, and then you've got a lower high sitting there. But we can't trade that because that's not our thing. That's not a candle that suits us. But what else happened in the meantime? We've got a trade line coming through here. We got a breakout. We got the double high. We got a whole lot of consolidation. We got back inside the range, and then we retested the broken trade line, didn't we? Isn't that one of our false break trades? Don't we place an order under there and we put our stop there? Yeah, we do. That's what we do. So eminently tradable if you're awake, in your case, at 1 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not. I'm sound asleep. So this is down here somewhere when I get out of bed, and it's way too late. But yes, it is a high test bar. Yes, it is a potential warning that prices are going to maybe reverse. How long for, we have no idea. But when you see that sort of thing forming, it's forming because there's something happening on the smaller time frames. So that's where you need to look once you see those things happening. But you can't, in isolation, in my humble opinion, just say, okay, there's a high test bar sitting there, let's trade it. Can't do that if that's what you're intimating. Sorry, you can do whatever you like, but I can't do that. Doesn't work for me. Okay, so they're the two questions that were in the box. And I don't know that we've got anything else. Dollar Swissy spiking up to weekly pivot. I'll do, oh yeah, okay, let's have a look at that.
Well, it's what we haven't talked about as well, mate. It's gold.
Dollar CAD. Okay, you can have a chat
Quite
about
interesting
gold.
moves in gold, yeah.
Yeah, the Swissy must be in all sorts. Why is Dollar Swissy going nuts? That's kind of weird. But that's a good thing, not a bad thing for us. As I said before, if it had a spike to there and touched it, that would have been cool. And got back underneath the monthly pivot and the trend line, exactly as we've just described on Aussie Swissy. If we got underneath there and retested from below, then we would definitely be looking to trade a short. Sorry, mate. Gold. Have a squiz.
Yeah, let's have a look at gold, because there's been obviously some movement in gold, and there's been a lot of discussion on the show about gold as well. Make sure that I've got this screen ready for you guys. There we go. So, gold. Where's gold on this chart? Where are you, gold? There it is. Yeah, gold, it's looking more and more interesting, isn't it? Now look at the pattern here. Let's just make this clean and just analyze its clean to start with. But look at the pattern here, just drifting. Looks like an engulfing bar here as well with gold. But we've already seen, maybe a hint up here that gold was potentially weakening. And now when we look along here, it looks like a little bit more downside into around about 1384 on this daily. Now let's just double check that. Let's just double check that. Oh, that level there. Yeah, it looks like now I'm looking at a gap on the gold futures on the 4 hour, which is not showing on this one. So let's not worry about that on that one. But it does look to me like like down here. Now we've been talking about potentially, you know, how could we get in long with gold? Looks like around about the 1694 1700 level would be our first potential look at some upside. In gold, there's no doubt that it's a little bit weak, but it does need to get through that level there. If it's going down, then it's getting through this level. You know, this really to me is the potential area for gold that needs to break. Now we got this line along here as well, which should coincide quite nicely. So that's what I'm looking at with gold. It's on a short-term basis. Maybe on an intraday basis, there may well be an opportunity for gold to push down into this point first. So there might be, you know, if we look at this on some intraday charts here, then what do we have? Just a little bit of a push up right now. Trend line coming down on the 15. So there's the sell price for gold. 1714 is the looks to me like the sell price for gold, and that would look pretty good. Yeah, look at that. Now that's gonna lead us right in. So on an hourly basis, that leads us into this high here. So there's the high on gold. That would be the interesting point to start looking at some downside with gold. And if that downside was to transpire, then we're really looking at that point down there for a potential target. So there's possibly like $19-20 downside in gold that could be grabbed. There is a daily pivot which is a little bit problematic. You know, when we bring this onto with some pivots here. Actually, no, the pivots are above, aren't they, on the gold chart? On the futures, they are below, which is a little bit of a problem. But it does look like this point here. Now, the untested daily pivot, I know will probably put Jeff off, but it wouldn't put me off too much here. And I think that area there looks pretty good, and it looks pretty good purely because of the confluence of the trend line as well down there. So trend line on gold and a potential level of resistance, which has been kind of proved. You know, that's it might be a little bit higher. Maybe we're looking at the spikes up here, but anything between 1750 and 1714, I think we should be looking for signs and signals for downside with gold on an intraday basis. And where that would be quite useful is if it was to continue lower through this area, which I don't have on this chart actually, but the 1700 area, if it was continue lower over 1700, then there is a trading opportunity there. And if it holds here, the long can be taken while leaving this short on the table, just to make sure that the opportunity actually does exist, you know, genuinely, with some upside at 1700. So I don't think we should be moving away from gold. I haven't checked the seasonals for June, and I think that might well be of interest. And if somebody wants to look those up, that'd be fantastic. Just to let us know what the summer months are like for gold. But if gold is if there is a suggestion that gold is moving down during the summer months, then this here might be the opportunity. And if we look on the 4 hour for a longer term time frame, then it does look like the daily pivot then does start to come into play a little bit more. In actual fact, by the time we get to the end of the month, that might not be there. But the price on the 4 hour chart looks really good here. In actual fact, forget the intraday one, because when we come to this 4 hour, look at that, 1721, 1722 ish, resistance becomes support, resistance becomes support, down again. Now, if we get another now this is a change of polarity as we break through, which suggests that this point here is the sweet spot. and the trend line suggests that sweet spot. Let's just see what this trend line could look like on this point here. I don't love it. But that you know, the trend line angled here. So basically, if we were to get to this price by tomorrow, then the trend line may well be. We could maybe have a look to see if the trend line needs to be adjusted. If, which would be better, it gets there on Friday, then the trend line stays where it is, and that would look even better there. So a little push to the upside on gold over the next couple of days does give a sweet spot for some downside. Now, as I say, it'd be great for somebody to check the seasonals on that and let us know what the gold summer months
Hang on, I'll
look
just
like.
consult my favorite seasonal chart.
Now that looks even better. So this looks like the area. Looking at this, this looks like the area right here. Somewhere around this point here. I could have done with a better Shame you can't move these after they're done, or can you? No, you can't move those after they're drawn, which is a shame. Or I don't think you can anyway. Let's do that again one more time.
On your whiz bang thing.
On the whiz bang, yeah. Let's see if the whiz bang's working.
Can't answer that question.
Just here. That looks like the sweet. Somewhere in this area here looks like the sweet spot between that line and that line. So we can look for signs and signals of reversal here, basically between what looks like 1721 and 1728. Just because that's the break of this lower line as well. So it's still valid right the way up to that point. And if that was to happen by tomorrow, by kind of midday tomorrow, that's going to look like a really attractive proposition. So it's somewhere around there. We have a potential sweet spot for some trades in gold to the downside. But as I say, let's see if we can get something in the way of seasonals or seasonality, kind of like helping us out a little bit. Maybe even hearing what's going to go on with the Hong Kong issue. Check out the bond yields as well, because that's really important for gold. Because the bond yield will tell us much more about inflation than anything else. Because remember, gold has traditionally been the hedge against inflation, and we were all looking for inflation after this pandemic. But the bond yields actually suggest that we're getting deflation rather than inflation. So that doesn't really play into the hands of the gold bugs. Yes, we could look at gold as a safe haven as well. But I think the safe haven aspect of it is really because people are worried about prices going up. But so far, that has not made itself evident. Now, I know we're running a bit low on time, but so maybe we can cover this later on. But later on, remind me in the US show, and I will just talk about. Yeah, there is. It does seem like there is protest going on in Hong Kong. Later on, just remind me, and I will show you the numbers that we are looking at to give us the kind of inflation story, and that will help when we're kind of like making decisions about gold. So if you guys, I know Shukri's here and Alan, so remind me later, guys. We got a couple of things to look at later. We're going to look at the balance sheet of Just Eat, and we're also going to look at which data points are important for us to kind of ascertain what might give us an inflation story with gold, because that's the way we really want to be looking at gold more than anything. As a safe haven, yes, we can look at it. Probably not as reliable as the yen to a degree, but the real picture with gold is about inflation.
The chart that I'm looking at on the gold futures is telling me that from maybe the 2nd of June, might be the 1st of June to mid-June, maybe around about the 13th, 14th, gold crashes.
Oh, beautiful. That's what we need, mate. That's what we want. Let me just make this.
That's according to equityclock.com.
Nicely done. You got a freebie out there.
I did, mate. God knows
so between
what it's worth.
the 2nd of June and the which of June?
Looks like around about the 13th, 14th, maybe.
Brilliant. Okay, so the first couple of weeks of June we're looking at.
Yep.
Okay, brilliant. All right, well let's look at that. Let's look at that, guys. So we are 1st of June again. Yeah, with that's it. That's it. Bit of an alert on the Nasdaq too. Yeah, I think June's going to be an interesting month, isn't it? As that opens, I think we're all kind of primed for some potential significant moves in the market. It'll probably be a damp squib after all that, but let's see what we got. Yeah, well, let's come back later, mate. I think we kind of ready to wrap up here. And remind me later, guys. We'll talk about gold and some of the fundamental indicators we need to look at, and we will look at the balance sheet of Just Eat as well, and see if there's an opportunity to short on that.
Right, mate. Happy days. Let me just very, very quickly check and see what's going on. Pound CAD Yum. That's still going. That's really awesome. That's now just gone past 450 pips in profit, that one.
Good job.
Which represents a bit better than 4 to 1. Pound.
Oh, nice, mate. God, they didn't last long, did it? The pound confidence and rally.
No, but it has bounced off the daily pivot versus the dollar at the moment. But versus the dollar, anything could bounce. What else have we got going? Dollar yen hasn't triggered, and everything else I think we've got under control. Yep, I think we're good to go.
Okay, mate.
A couple of comments. Have to wait till July when earnings are out. Regold found this June is low month on some info. The East's long-term sentiment toward the metal, as is the world, has a different relationship related to both the love trade and the fear trade, and it's not easily broken. Okay, the love trade might be the India wedding. Yes, yes. Does it happen though? And when do they buy the gold? Do they buy it in October? I wouldn't have thought so. They'd already be buying, wouldn't they, if that were the case, in anticipation of this this celebration. Interesting. You know, it's absolutely a moot point for me because the chances of me buying or selling gold in a market situation have gone from 0 to negative. So not for me. But I must learn. I shouldn't just dismiss it, should I? I mean, that's foolish.
Well, I mean, the thing is, obviously you've dismissed it because of that experience you had with the that retailer.
Oh, that prick! Yeah, absolutely.
He's probably cost you a lot of money in your
He
trading.
may well have. He may well have. Yes. Taught me a great lesson, didn't he? All right, we're out of here, you guys. Those of you who will be there, we'll catch you in the US session. Those of you who won't, we'll do it at the same bat time, the same bat channel tomorrow, which is when, Ash?
Which is at 5 to 8.
Don't be late. That's a date. See you guys.